feel supported. Good, don't answer that, we don't have time. I'm very excited, I do care, but we don't have time. This is gonna be a very exciting panel. Are you guys caught up on Preacher? Are you caught up with 5 episodes in? A lot's happened, a lot's going on with Tulip and Jesse, and Cassidy's did some hard drugs with Fjord, and shit went down, and then a bunch of people kicked the shit out of Hitler in hell, and the season's been amazing. So there's still, I believe, 8 episodes left this season. We're gonna show you some footage, we're gonna show you some trailers, we're gonna introduce some characters. So let's just get it going. Here's the trailer for Preacher. Take a look. It's totally true though. Don't worry about it, don't picture it, don't picture it. I want to bring out some producers and cast. Okay, picture. Please welcome to the stage executive producer and director Seth Rogen! Preacher himself, Dominic! As Tulip, Oscar nominee Ruth Negga! Everyone's favorite Irish tattoo vampire, Gilgun!
Yeah!
The Saint of Killers, McTavish! And last but not least, please welcome ArseFace to the stage, Colletti! Video or you taking pictures? Hello!
Don't tell anyone, but we're sick of those trumpets.
They go everywhere we go.
Just be careful back there. Just be careful, like Seth Rogen, well, everyone, congratulations on season 2 of Preacher, which we're halfway. Seth, is this a show that you ever thought could remotely exist on television?
Ooh, not how we do it, no. When we read the comic, TV was totally different, and so there was no, shows that would let you do this kind of thing. Luckily, people's sensibilities have declined over the years, and things that were once appalling to even consider they would maybe be acceptable on TV are on mainstream television. So it's really nice for us that we're living in such an age of decline, and that we are able to contribute to that decline, I think, in many ways. But truthfully, it's come. I look at it and I'm so grateful that we got to do it. I'd be so mad if someone else did it. I can't believe that I'm watching it and that the characters are on the screen and that it's like a childhood dream come true. So. And generally, I'm just super psyched about it, honestly.
Well, I know you've been fans of the graphic. You've been a fan of the graphic novel for a long time, you and Evan. And can you talk a little bit? Garth was going to be here, but Garth Ennis, but he had a commitment last minute, and sadly, we lost Steve Dillon a little while ago. But is it bringing this to life? How collaborative was it? And what was the process? And what was it about the comic that you said, this is definitely something that I need to try to make?
Yeah, it was the characters and the tone and the overall story of looking for God is just so compelling and relatable, I think, in many ways. And we loved that it was everything, that it had all genres. It was a horror movie, it was a comedy, it was an action movie, it was romantic, it had theological elements, and we were if we could make a show that has all that shit in it, and actually functions as a show, it has characters that make sense, and you get what's happening, and but the dynamic between the 3 main characters, Jesse, Cassidy, and Tulip, was the thing that we most wanted to bring to life, and was the thing that we thought would make something that potentially you would want to watch for years and years, because it was such a compelling dynamic, and in the comics, we just loved it. Yeah.
Because the first season was really sort of a prequel.
Yeah.
The second season picks up where the comics begin. So the first season, it definitely felt like, okay, we're kind of getting you used to all these characters and trying to help you grasp
Yeah.
world and what the rules are.
It's a batshit crazy world, and if you're like the people who are in this room right now, it's not that fucking crazy. But if you're like a guy who just turns on AMC and all of a sudden you're confronted with the shit in the show, it's a lot to take in, I think. And so we were aware that lots of the people who are watching the show wouldn't be comic book fans, and we wanted to kind of slowly introduce, some may argue too slowly, introduce some of the ideas in the comic in a way that they seemed much more digestible, and we kind of doled them out a little bit instead of, you basically know everything that happens in the whole first season by the end of like the 4th page of the comic. So yeah, we really took our time getting there. But now we're there, and it's fun to have them all together and to really get into the meat of the show and of the mission.
Well, it's a fun way to end the first season by just saying, hey, everything we just saw, we're just going to blow all that up.
We literally killed everyone.
Yeah.
That was some awkward phone calls. They always knew. We told them from the beginning we were killing all of you, and I think slowly they started to convince themselves that everyone but them was going to die.
Right.
I hope. But no, we killed them all.
But season 2 has a nice, very simple arc to it. They're looking for God. They're going to New Orleans and they're looking for God.
Yeah, they're looking for God, and that's really what the comic. And they all, yeah, I mean, they're all. I mean, it's funny because it's more Jesse's mission, and the fact that Cassidy and Tulip have less investment in it slowly comes to become a part of the story, actually. But you know, for this part of the season, they're kind of singularly focused, which is nice because there are literally almost no scenes in the first season that even have all 3 of them. So to now almost every scene is really them and their dynamic is fun.
So now that we're in New Orleans, Dominic, where is Jesse at now? Because he really is, in the beginning, he's really trying to fly straight. He really is trying to do good work, and he really kind of wants to help people. But you can see in season 1, in that bar fight, where you see the smile creep on his face, and this is where he's comfortable. Is he getting back into his comfort zone, or is he getting do you think he's going too dark?
No, it makes sense to me, the darker side of him. And I think when you realise and when you go back over the comic books and you understand his history, his background, and the things that he experienced and had to put up with as a kid, and the guilt that he's harbouring about the death of his father, is all that anger and resentment and self-hatred is constantly bubbling under the surface. So even in the first season, while trying to do good for this community and for his friends and everything else, he was still from a kind of selfish place of wanting to liberate himself from the self-hatred. But now, again, the more I read and the more the scripts are revealed to me, I realise more about the past, particularly with these 2, with the relationship that he's been in. And I think the darker side of him comes out when he thinks that she's in any way threatened by anyone. So the revelation that she's been married before and been lying to him is so deceitful to him. And I think we'll see more and more, because it's been mentioned an awful lot by various characters that he has a side, certainly by Tulip, that he has a side that no one has seen yet. And I think we'll see more and more of that as more of his family and background is revealed. I mean, the treatment of his sort of, well, the torturous existence of living in a coffin under a swamp by way of punishment from the family is never going to create a sort of well-rounded adult.
Right.
So no, it makes sense to me, and yeah, it's fun to play.
And it seems like he's kind of getting used to this power that he has, and it's fun because obviously I think most people, if they have that power, they would just use it all the time. But it seems like Tulip says to him, "It's not right for you to do this." So I feel like there is a limitation that's put on it, which he cares about her. So it feels like he's being more responsible with it. But at where we are in the show now, it just seems like the floodgates are off, and he's just angry and emotional and using it, whatever.
I think again it reveals about him that he's all over the place. It's sporadic, his use of it. He uses it at the most ridiculous of times, like when he's doing that to the police officers at the beginning, when he's doing that for fun, purely for self-amusement, and then when Cassidy reaches out to him at a certain point when he really needs it to help him, he puts the barriers up about it. He has very different opinions of when it should be used, and then again he says there's massive flaws in his character about how selfish he is and self-obsessed, and actually this mission for God is either for redemption for himself, or is it for the good of the world, and that's questionable, I think, and will be to the end.
Ruth, first of all, congratulations on being nominated for an Oscar. That's a pretty fantastic. Not bad. Do you feel? I feel like I see a lot of these characters doing their best to try to fight their nature and fit in and try to be a conventional part of society, and then always kind of going back to what their nature is. What is Tulip's true nature? What do you think it is?
I think there's an innate intelligence in her that she understands who she is, and I think that I don't think she's ever tried to fit in. I think there's something distasteful to her about, having to fit in. I think that's been sort of projected to her, but I think she's always had that innate intelligence. That's not what you should be looking towards in life. That one must walk your own line.
Right.
And I think that she'd be the first to put her hand up and say she makes a lot of mistakes, but she's also learning, and she doesn't project this idea of perfection. I think she understands that we are fallible, and I think that's what Genesis makes her nervous about Jesse, because she understands that he's been given this power, but how does he always know he'll use it for good? I mean, it's in our human nature to sometimes be selfish.
Right.
And she sees that in him, and I think that's why she doesn't like him using it, because I think she likes a level playing field.
Right.
And this changes now, and she's not too sure what this will do to him. She also understands his nature, and I think it makes her nervous. I think authority makes her nervous.
Right.
And Genesis is an authority, so yeah.
And even though she can build a rocket launcher out of household items, it sort of feels like as long as everyone's choosing to be in this fight, that's what makes it fair.
Yeah, I think she's a very democratic heart, and I think she has a very strong sense of justice.
Why do you think it seems like she's not really in support of this idea of finding God, going to New Orleans and finding God. Like, what is it that you think she feels would be better if they did not do any of this?
Well, I think, again, it goes back to, it's not really, it feels very sort of one-sided. They're sort of like his sidekicks on a journey that they've not really said they want to go on. But they don't really have a choice. They are one another's family. They're orphans in this world. And,
Right.
They think, Cassidy and Herr think they're going on this brilliant road trip and it'll be fun and adventure. And she's also she's straining to get back to the life they had before Dallas. And she wants that back, that life. But I think her journey is easy as that. That's not possible. They've both taken different forks in the road. She wants the old life, but I think she's coming to terms with the fact that that's not possible, which is very hard for her. And I think this God business doesn't interest her. I think she, like we left last season, I think she's really angry with him, I think she's angry with him I think that even before he went missing, I think she's always felt abandoned by this idea of God. And I don't think religion has ever really interested her too much. And I think there's the idea that, his father wasn't, always there for her. And she trusted him, her faith in him, and he let her down. And I think she feels that God lets people down.
Yeah. Joe, I freaking love you on the show. I adore you. I love all you guys.
The novelty wears off. I said this last year. It does. You want another Misfits, don't you? Get on to him about that.
So, Cassidy has some really great moments that are, even though he's a vampire, very human in the sense that he seems to kind of have a sense of, I'm kind of a screw up, I do the best I can. I mean, does he really believe that? Do you feel like he's self-destructive for a reason, or it's just because he kind of lives?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's definitely on a path of redemption. I think that's what he was so fascinating. I mean, Jesse, that's what's so fascinating about Jesse at first. He bumped into this guy who clearly had a bit of a wayward past and was trying to do something about it. I can see the glitter in my hair, Dominic. Honestly, I'll never forgive him. He's dumped a whole bag of glitter on my head today, Dominic. That's all over. It's in my butt crack. It's everywhere. It's sharp. It's actually considered. It's quite sharp.
Oh yeah, glitter's like clown herpes. Like you'll never get rid of
It's
it.
got a coarse quality.
Yeah, that's never going away.
So yeah, I think he is. I think he's giving it a go. He's trying to do the right thing, and I think a lot of the characters in the show are. I think the Saint Killers even. He's trying to do the right thing. He just wants to get back to his family. Cassidy's trying to write his. I mean, we haven't nearly ruined Preacher there. Nearly ruined it.
Oh no.
Yeah, I pulled it back. Did you see that?
Yeah, did great.
Pulled that the fuck back. Yes. How's it going? You two look like you've had enough. You're under a blanket. Just completely cold. Look at the fucking pair of them there.
It's very likely they've been sleeping here for a week. Like there was maybe some office convention here last week, and they just parked there, and they've been here the entire time. Yeah, I saw it. I know. I'm sorry.
You've been here since then? Just knackered, really dehydrated. Got waters.
What motivates him? Like, why is he loyal to Jesse? I mean, this guy doesn't really seems like he has to do anything. He's a vampire.
But I think he needs Jesse's. I think, you know what, like Cassidy's behaviour, especially in the comic, he's done some really terrible things. Like, he's done really shocking things. Some of the stuff's funny, but some of the stuff, like the killing of the girl in Vegas is one that jumps out to me. It would seem that when he's with Jesse and when he's with Tulip, he's got this, it's almost like being in rehab for him. There's something stable for the first time in a long time. And so I think he's got this, he wants to be honest with them, because up till now, that's all they've been with him, really. I mean, even Jesse in that scene, we shot the scene, I'm about to ruin Preacher here, where I turn up and roll up in the bedroom. That's been on, hasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, that's been on. So even in that scene, Jesse says to Cass, look, dude, you're a fucking lying junkie vampire. Like, why would I ever trust you? He's like, we're honest with each other. It's like a sibling relationship. We can talk to each other that way, still love each other at the end of it. So, yeah, there's definitely honesty in there.
But it seemed like there was a moment where it feels like the one thing Jesse can never really find out is what happened with Tulip and Cassidy.
Yeah.
And even as much as there's almost, they kind of have the scene that you're talking about is almost a confession, and to me that sort of felt like the undertones of Cassidy apologizing without really saying exactly what they might be talking about.
Yeah, I think Cassidy's broached the subject with Tulip a bunch of times, and Tulip's told him over and over again, listen, it's not a good idea, you don't know him like I do, so just don't go there. Like, if you value your life, you won't go there. So I think for Cassidy, there is that's a little reminder every time he gets to that stage where he thinks he might just be able to tell his friend and be honest. Because, he didn't know at the time, he didn't know that Tulip was with this guy who was about to meet and become friends with. Like, he had no idea. So there is an injustice in there for Cassidy. He's done this bad thing without realising. He had no idea Jesse and Tulip were an item. He had no idea. He just thought he was having a quickie in the back of a Chevrolet. She was. It was fantastic. Thank you so much.
Is there ever any, because obviously him being a vampire is almost it's almost like not that entirely relevant to the story in terms of, do you guys ever, at this point in the story, do you ever think about like, oh, should we make him more vampire-y, or it doesn't really matter, we don't need to do that, it's just kind of part of who his character is?
It's kind of a vampire-y thing that happens in the second half of the season. It gets a little more vampire-y as it goes in the back half, right? There's some more vampire-y themes.
Stuffs.
Yeah.
Stuffs and things.
At the end of the day, he's a vampire, so you gotta deal with that. Yeah.
Have you ever thought about what you would do, like if you did have an eternal life?
Yeah.
It almost seems like what would really have any value at that
I honestly
point?
think I'd end up exactly like Cassidy, just a fucking drug addict, moron, who's achieved absolutely nothing. Like, I honestly don't know what I'd do with eternal life. I'd just make it my quest to legalise cannabis in the UK.
It'll take that long.
I do.
Graham was introduced as Saint of Killers, who's been a fantastic character, because he has one quest, one goal, and anything that gets in his way just gets mowed down.
Yes, he is a man with singularity of purpose. Yeah, I guess what's interesting, I think I try and relate everything I do, obviously, to, you know, reality in some form or another, even a reality as extreme in its execution as Preacher. But with having a purpose in life, you know, everybody here can identify with that. Most people's purpose is to, you know, look after their family, you know, provide for them, whatever. And that was my purpose. That was the purpose of the Saint, until that was all taken away from him. And when that purpose was removed, his new purpose is to become reunited with them. And he pursues it with this terrifying, remorseless energy. And I think that's what's interesting, that he carries with him the love for his family throughout all of the terrible acts of violence that he commits. And that's a sort of strange dichotomy, I suppose. I mean, I wouldn't say that the first thing you think of when you see my character is there's a man who's in love. It's not really. You look at a man with guns and a saber and a face out of hell and you think, what a sweetheart. But he's somebody that wants to get back with his family, and to do that he has to get Genesis, and to get Genesis he has to kill Jesse Custer. So, you know, that's my role, and it's been so far great fun to do. I do feel sorry for anybody that acts opposite me though, because they end up dead very quickly. So I do apologize in advance to anybody else.
I wanted to, Ian, it was really fun to see you on the show this year, just be Ian. Or be Eugene, like be pre-ArseFace. Can you just talk a little bit about the appliance process and just the challenges of having to act with a butthole on your face?
Yeah, I think it's a more complicated process than a lot of people realize. Every day when we shoot, it's a new mask. It's a one-time use kind of only thing, and throughout the day I'm sweating and my nose is getting snot and all kinds of disgustingness behind it, so we peel that thing off and it's in the trash for good. But yeah, acting with it it's been kind of an interesting process because it's, you know, the lower half of my face is covered and it does move, but it's more of almost I'm puppeteering this, you know, so to smile or do this, I kind of have to do it more extreme. I have to emote more extremely on my actual face to have it read as more.
What are you doing under there? What does it look like when you smile under there? Yeah. Always wondered what was happening under there.
Sort of tight,
yeah,
a tight smile.
And then, you know, it's the bottom half of your face covered. It's kind of, your face is pretty much your tool, like as an actor, and so it's kind of really have to focus on kind of my eyes and the upper half of my face to kind of express some certain emotions and subtext and stuff like that. Which has been interesting and a challenge, but then, yeah, I just had this scene kind of where I wasn't wearing the mask, and it was, I suddenly felt like very naked, like working without it. So I had to kind of go back and think about, you know, you take away all this stuff, kind of who do you have left as the character when there's so much of the physicality of it and the voice and working with the mask is gone. Kind of had to reevaluate a lot with Eugene, which was really, as an actor, something very fun to do.
I mean, there's such an interesting shift in the story in terms of all the characters who are kind of evil prevail, and Eugene is just this sweet kid, and everything he tries to do to be helpful and loving, he just gets his ass handed to him.
Yeah, now he's with Hitler. That's what happens.
And now he's in hell. Now he's in hell.
That's the moral of that story.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a tough road ahead for Eugene. You know, I think last year, kind of, Eugene's importance as a character was very much kind of congruent with Jesse in the sense that, you know, Eugene was asking these questions about himself. You know, can you find forgiveness? Can you find redemption? And be bigger than your past. And he would come to Jesse and ask him these things, like this hope that he would give him some kind of answer. But we would see that Jesse really didn't have an answer, and he would come back, and then my character would kind of be the catalyst for him to explore these questions in himself. But this season, now Eugene is in hell, and he's away from kind of our main characters, and now Eugene is forced to really reevaluate himself and ask these questions about himself. And then Hitler then kind of serves that same purpose for Eugene now, and that, you know, is there redemption, and now does Eugene deserve to be in hell, or does he not?
So we also introduced the Grail this season. Can you talk a little bit about the Grail? I've only really seen a glimpse, but is there anything more you can talk about?
I mean, the next episode that airs is the one that introduced the Grail more thoroughly. I can say they're a super secret organization, the most powerful organization in the world, and we will ultimately learn that the arm of their Samson unit, which is dedicated to something that we will learn about next episode, is run by a guy named Herr, who is kind of like the most badass. He's one of the most powerful men on the planet, and in the comic, he's really like one of the best characters. We are starting to learn more about the Grail and who they are and what they do exactly. But if you've read the comic, you know exactly who they are. They are a religiously inclined, super secret organization that runs the planet, basically, in many ways.
So you guys brought a clip of that features Herr a little bit more.
We got a clip of Herr. In the episode, we go back and show a flashback of him ultimately going through the trials of becoming the man that he becomes, and the Grail has recruited him and then put him in sort of like an elimination test to see if he has what it takes to become the head of the Samson unit of the Grail, basically.
Excellent. And I'm supposed to tell you this is a rule. It's written in all caps.
Yes.
Before we take a look, I have to let you know this may not be suitable for all audiences.
No, it's really not.
So if you have, I don't know, if you have kids, I don't know what to say.
It's not like the worst.
They got the internet, they got the internet. That's the worst,
Don't be sensitive.
Yeah,
Don't be a little girl about things, for crying out loud. Toughen up.
But we just wanted to give you
You're
a
gonna ruin
heads up.
2017. You're gonna ruin it. For everyone, you sensitive people.
Sounds so much better with your accent. If I said it, people would be like, I can't believe you said that, but with you, they're like, it's so charming.
Exactly.
Sensitive, but here we go. Here's a clip from upcoming episodes of Preacher. Hello, have a seat. So really quickly, and then we'll get to some fan questions. We'll still have some time for some fan questions. Is there anything you can tell us about Herr Starr, Pip? Like, what attracted you to this? What's exciting about it? What do you like about it?
He's a highly therapeutic character to play. Any bad feelings you might bring to the set on day one, you could be pretty sure you'll expunge them, particularly when you have a sequence like that to do. And that was the very first day for me of the shoot. Chris, my special effects makeup supervisor, and I said that after the initial procedure of shaving my entire body, we'd probably be married in several countries around the world, not to mention several states of the US, but anyway.
Excellent. And then Julie, so we see your character just for a little bit in one of the episodes at this point, a couple episodes ago. So is there anything you can talk about, anything you can say, just to give us, some people who may not be familiar, a glimpse about who she is?
Featherstone is highly capable. She's smart, determined, she's a zealot, and she will do absolutely anything to accomplish the mission and the goal of the Grail, and that means anything. To her, there is no line to cross. There's no line at all. If you're in her way and she needs you to move, she will shoot you in the head. Yeah. Also, I met Pip on his first day of shooting with all the nice booties.
Oh, with everything,
Yeah, I was present for that.
Malcolm, we met for the first time last night.
Hey, how's it going, Chris?
It's nice to see you.
Hey, it's good.
And Comic-Con is your world anyway.
It's my thing.
It's a thing that you're into.
I love it. I was here like 3 years ago without a show, just as a guy walking around, so this is different.
But this is inspiring. Anyone, you could be out there just walking around, and then a couple years later you could be up here in all age.
Yeah, it's really easy.
Is there anything that you can say about Hoover at this point, without spoiling anything?
No.
Okay. Let's take some audience questions. He said no. Do you have anything?
I really can't say anything.
Let's take some audience questions because we have about 15 minutes left, so I have to make sure there's enough time. Hi.
Hi.
What's your name?
My name is Camille.
And what's your question, Camille?
I want wanted to say I really love Preacher. Thank you for creating such a unique and interesting show. It's been really amazing to watch. It seems to me like Jesse, Tulip, and Cassidy are obviously equals, and Tulip's an example of a strong female character, and she's still allowed to be feminine and vulnerable. And my question is, did you set out to make Tulip like that, still strong, smart, and equal, or did her character just organically develop that way? I mean, you just often see strong, kind of masculine, or, you know, very feminine, but, you know, you don't see balance.
Yeah, I mean, Ruth was very instrumental, I think, in bringing the character to life and creating it, so she can speak to that as well. But in the writing and direction, yeah, I mean, that was something that was important to us, was that she wasn't, you know, I think you've seen the kind of like battle-ready people, and you've seen, I mean, it just seemed like, honestly, there was no like archetype that we wanted her to fit into, really. There was more like a list of characteristics that we had come up with that we really liked, and some of them were even kind of contradicting with each other, but that's what people are like. I mean, they have conflicting qualities, and that's what makes them interesting in a lot of ways. But it was, I mean, it's one of those things where now, like, the character is Ruth in my head, and I can't, the thought of it ever not having been her is bizarre to me in a weird way. So in my head now I just think, like, what would that character that is Ruth do, basically, and she makes it easy to make it interesting, because she gives a very interesting performance and probably adds a lot of interesting shit to stuff that, you know, maybe could, you know, is already somewhat in. Yeah, she's great.
Ruth, what about for you? How do you see the character complexity?
Well, I don't think it's binary. I think eventually those terms, masculine and feminine, will sort of evolve into something a bit different from what we expect now. And I feel like my aim when I'm playing anybody is to play human. And I don't really think in terms of masculine and feminine. I think it's a bit outmoded. I think we should be allowed to, I don't know, be as fluid as we want. And I think that's Tulip's very existence she's very uncomfortable with being defined by words and terms. She defies limitations, and I think that was who we wanted to bring, and I think that's very important for me as a human being, as a woman, and as an actor, and I think that's what we wanted to inject into. I think that I'm very interested in defying expectations, and I think that's what Preacher does very well.
Excellent. What's your name?
Hi, I'm Viviana.
Hi, Viviana. What's your question?
First off, how are you all?
Very well,
thank you. All right, yeah. Hungover, thank you for asking.
Secondly, what was the hardest scene to film and why?
For everyone? Do you
Yes.
Okay. Quick, hardest scene? Anyone have a...
I could tell you, but I would have to kill you.
Uh-oh.
I don't know.
Can't talk about it yet.
None of it's you know, the crew is really great. TV has an ambitious schedule. During the first few episodes, the first 2 days of shooting this season were like a giant shootout on the side, on like a freeway. And I guess, I mean, on paper it would look hard / impossible, but it really, you know, everyone's really good, and we're able to get what we set out to do, and it's, you know, television moves at like a crazy pace. So it's always kind of challenging. I think when people show up, it's like as though you put your foot on the gas and you kind of never let it go. There's never a day where you're like, oh, this is an easy day. Every day you're like, how the hell are we going to do this? This is crazy. And so, and it's never the days you think. You'll look and you'll be like, oh, it's just 2 talking scenes today. And that's like your 18-hour day. And then you'll be like, I have 3 fight scenes to shoot today. And that you do in like 10 hours. Like, so it just kind of happens. You never really know. Is the fun of filmmaking, but
it's quite tough filming on is it Bourbon Street in New Orleans? Bourbon Street in the middle of New Orleans at night,
Yeah.
4 in the morning.
Did anyone vomit?
That was good, man.
Yeah.
There was only one asshole. There was one dickhead, and he got sent on his way, man. It was fantastic. He got sent this guy, man. He just picked on the wrong bunch. He got immediately dealt with. This poor fella. He drank too much.
What did you do to him?
He was going, don't fucking touch me, man. I'm an attorney. fuck off. Yeah, man, he gets slapped.
Is it the physical scenes or just the talking emotional scenes that you find more challenging?
You'd think that it was the sort of choreography of some of the fight sequences, which they do. We have an incredible stunt team, and the time that we make those scenes, comparatively to a film, we do it in such a short amount of time. But it's actually, like you say, sometimes the more delicate or intricate emotional scenes that actually need time to be discussed before we shoot them, and that takes up sometimes time that we don't have, and then it can get quite...
It can get very tense, can't it?
Yeah.
Because you're already trying to feel that way, so it's very difficult to, especially when there's we did a scene towards the end, didn't we? And that was really difficult. Like, it wasn't a fun day. The nature of the scene was stressful.
It hadn't quite made sense on paper, so we had to talk it through and change and adapt it for the time that we had, and that's sometimes much more difficult than when you have a complicated piece of choreography or a fight sequence. Like even that scene at the beginning that Seth was mentioning earlier, a huge great gun battle in the streets, which actually went because it was so well prepared there, because you'd done so much work with regard to where the cars were going to be in this stunt and the action. It was quite fluid, whereas actually a much more complex emotional scene sometimes takes more time.
Excellent. This guy and I have developed a friendship over the last few days. Tell me his name.
Good way.
I refer to him as the Nameless Hero.
Great.
How's it going?
What's up? First off, Seth, I am a big fan of you.
Thanks, bro.
I want to ask you, do you have any roles in the TV show?
Do I have any roles in the show for you?
Not just me, everyone else wants to know.
So everyone else wants to know if you're going to be in a TV show?
No,
Seth's going to be in the show.
I get it. Oh, man, I'm sorry.
In this show.
I'm going to be on the show. Maybe let me talk about it. There's one, it's not in this season, but there's a role that...
I know who you should play.
There's a role that I don't want to say because I might actually do it, but there is a role that I would potentially do.
All right, thank you.
I'm gonna take Dominic's role.
But then not reference it at all.
Sorry, that's why I didn't want to say it here. I'm gonna replace Dominic with myself.
Is this how you're
This has been a long plan. This is the unveiling.
So this whole panel was just to tell Dominic that you're replacing
fired
him?
in front
Wow,
of
that's
people.
amazing execution.
The show's called Rabbi now.
We can look for God,
Played a little.
Oh, what are you gonna do?
We stopped for a nosh.
Thank you very much. I hope I will see you again this weekend. Excellent, I'll see you again. What is your name, sir?
My name's Josh Garcia.
Hey, Josh Garcia, what's your question?
My question is for the cast members. Do you believe that you have learned and developed new skills making this offbeat series?
No. No.
We had all those skills already.
I feel like I'm getting worse at interviews, man. Oh, Christ.
Yeah, we're definitely getting worse at that, yeah.
You've had to, it's because it feels like it's from so many genres, there's so many different emotional states. I suppose 1 minute you're playing comedy, next minute you're doing out and out action, and the next minute you're doing quite a heartfelt emotional scene. For that reason alone, you're having to adapt and adopt different quite quickly in a short space of time. So I think for that reason we've all developed a bit.
Ruth still hasn't learned to drive.
Oh, why did you say that?
Because it makes things hard.
What? You're calling her out too. Everyone's gonna
You know what I did there? I learned how to play Guitar Hero, and I'm fucked at it.
I'll teach you.
I can't legally drive either.
He can't drive either.
I don't have the necessary documents. I can drive. If there's blue lights behind me, I can drive very, very quick.
Thanks, man. What is your name, sir?
What's up, guys? I'm Josh.
Hey, how's it going? A fan favorite. What is your question?
So, I host a show, and I make a lot of terrible jokes and puns. And my question is for Ruth. Ruth, if we developed a brand called Ruth Negga's Rutabagas, the first celebrity-driven rutabaga, all-organic rutabaga farm, would you join me as the co-founder of Ruth Negga's Rutabagas.
Rutabaga.
What is that?
It's a vegetable, yeah.
A brand of vegetable?
I think so.
I think it's like a beetroot.
What does a rutabaga look like?
It's like a beet. It's like a root. It's a vegetable.
I would pass. I would
You know what'd be really
pass on
funny?
that.
There's 7,000 people in here. If you asked everyone to just, if we went down the line, everyone would go, I don't know, it's like
It's like a
turnip.
yeah.
Oh, okay, well, thank you.
Never
There we go.
heard of
So,
that before.
I would have said it's like rhubarb, but maybe because it starts with the same letters.
yeah, that's not how vegetables work.
Is it?
It's of the Ruth family.
Tomatoes and taro, they're the same. No? They're different.
That's how they classify them.
That's how they do it.
We ate one today. You ate one today.
I had a turnip today, yeah. Oh, is it the purple
turnip?
shit?
Yeah.
Is it the
Purple turnip.
This poor guy, Josh had no idea this was going to take the turn of us debating about
It's a lady
All
with
vegetables,
natural
different things
blue
in
hair.
Europe.
the rutabaga debata.
Here we go.
Never heard of it.
It's a, hey, oh yeah, so Ruth Negga's rutabaga was okay, but the rutabaga debata is where you draw the line. Okay, good. Just want to make sure I know where the boundaries are. Thank you. Hi, what's your name?
Hi, I'm Leah. I'm really, really nervous. Okay.
No need to be nervous.
We're all shitting ourselves, dude. Don't worry about it. We're all just trying to get through another fucking day.
Okay, so my question is actually from my preacher group chat that I'm in with all of my friends like around the world. Like we love the show and we talk about it. So they wanted to know, for I guess the whole cast, like what's the craziest fan interaction that you've had since you've been in Preacher?
Joe, you had a good one with those two winners from last year's competition.
I've had a few, yeah. I've had a few. Listen, I've become. I've turned into a bit of a gigolo, I think.
Just stop there.
I don't know. Listen, I don't know if it's the accent, but I'll tell you right now, I am not this successful back at home. I'll tell you that for nothing. Like a woman repellent back home. Stay the fuck away from me. We've had some lunatics. A guy shouted to Ian yesterday from a balcony. He went, hey buddy, I feel sorry for Hitler. The top of his fucking voice. Completely out of context. Really around his hotel area.
Silence the whole San Diego.
Yeah, man.
Not okay.
That was pretty bonkers.
It's him. It's you, Dom.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi.
Yeah. Cool head.
Fantastic.
I love them eyebrows, man. Eyebrows.
Hey, you're fantastic.
Fantastic. Listen.
I'm Christina,
Of course you are.
my question is for the cast. Were there any things in particular you watched or listened to get ideas for your accents?
No, I don't do any preparation really. I'll turn to Ruth and go, was that shit? I go a bit Welsh in that. There's no real gauge on it.
I didn't even know Joe was doing a different accent until like halfway through the first season.
Not many.
And I was like, I would see him be like, shit, I didn't say that right. And I'm like, you're doing it. No matter what, I can't understand you. Stick with your best ununderstandable version. It's easiest for you personally.
It's got time. It's easy to be illegible for me.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually have Featherstone. I think I can say safely likes to transform. We've already seen it, and I have a transformation coming up that I almost fully lifted from a gal I found on YouTube, just a regular person. So I'm looking for you, and I might try to turn into you. Yeah.
She'll find you. Dominic, what about you? What was your accent study?
I actually...
A lot of Coach Taylor?
Coach Taylor from Friday Night Lights.
Friday Night Lights, yeah.
I liked it.
I'm so goddamn proud of you, son.
Yeah. Watched all that, yeah, I watched him, his accent. We kept talking about the accent quite a lot early on. I think Sam, our showrunner, wanted it as soft as possible, not to go too far, so it's west and quite light. Yeah, which is exactly what he does in the show, so I think, is it?
Now's the time to tell you you're being replaced by Coach Taylor.
A lot of announcements on the Preacher panel.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your question and your amazing cosplay. What is your name, sir?
Well, first I'm supposed to say that I'm the last question.
Oh, what the fudge, man.
That's what she did.
It's gotta be good, dude.
What are you complaining about? You get to ask the question.
My name is West, and
Hey, West.
I'm not light like he was saying. So, thank you so much for bringing this. I've been a huge Preacher fan since the first comic came out and watched all the things it's gone through trying to get on the air. So, Seth, thank you so much for that. But for the cast, being that the type of story it is, and Garth and Dylan, where they gave stories that really pushed the what you could do. Do you guys try and push it a little bit more than what you can get on? And Seth, would you try and get some characters that generally you wouldn't think could get on to the TV, like say the sexual investigators as you and Franco playing them?
It's too close to life. No, it's what I was saying before. Like, in general, I look at the show and I'm shocked by what they've let us get away with, not by what they haven't let us do more than anything. Like, I think when most people, when a lot of people I know heard we were doing Preacher on television, their main question was like, are you gonna have to water it down to make it on television? And when I look at the show, I think like, man, if we were allowed to do more, it would probably be a bad thing. Like, I think we've hit the wall of what you would want to do, you know? And overall, AMC has been incredibly supportive and let us, you know, sometimes you need to have a conversation or something like that to explain like why you want to blow up Tom Cruise or something like that. But like, after you have the conversation, they let you do it. Like, we blew up Tom Cruise in the pilot. Like, that's crazy.
Was he cool with that?
No, he didn't like that.
No.
I didn't know he didn't like it.
Not thrilled about that, yeah. But in general, yes, a lot of the characters, I think as you watch the show, and hopefully it will continue to be watchable, I think that you will be surprised more than anything by how much stuff from the comic we're including, not how little of it we're including. I think we just get there in roundabout ways and hopefully surprising ways, but we try to get to all the same, you know, benchmarks that the comic gets to. We just take routes that are hopefully a little surprising, even if you've read the comic.
Excellent. Well, that's all the time we have. Thank you for your last question. Thank you for being an audience for the Preacher panel. Preacher's Mondays, 9 p.m. on AMC. We're still 8 more episodes left this season, and then we're going to do a Talking Preacher for the